good, YouTube? War Storm here, coming at you guys with another video today. Today I have an interesting discussion, which is, we've all talked about it, but I don't feel like it's gotten enough, people haven't talked about it enough in terms of, Konami, how they run the game, is the lack of communication, and why I think they don't communicate and what they can do to change it. Because at the end of the day, I could just hate Konami, I hate on Konami, and within good reason, I would have reason to. But at the end of the day, I enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! I love it, and at the end of the day, I don't want to just completely shit on Konami, even though they sometimes do with their short print shenanigans. But at the same time, I want to think of ways that Konami can be better. And so, what is this discussion coming up for anyway? So the other day, on one of the Discords I was in, I was talking with some guys from the APS Discord, including Paul, about Konami, and his point was that he doesn't really think that Konami does an adequate job of a lot of different things, particularly communication. And he was comparing it to how the Bakugan guys were at the Bakugan event, how much they wanted to hear his feedback, whereas Konami, we really don't have an avenue to let them know how we think about things. This is a multitude of regional problems, and I'm going to think about why that is, and what they can do to change it. So, to start it off, there's tons of different stories. All of us, we know John Moore, House of Champs, used to stream iRegionals, and now he can't and Konami never really told him why. They just chose to change the rules so he could do so. And this is incredibly, why they would do this, I don't know. Maybe there's channels, but I think the biggest thing more than anything is Konami just hasn't adapted into 2019 and the 21st century in terms of proper communication. And this is not unnormal for Japanese companies. If you look at how the PS3 really struggled when Sony first brought it, and then they brought in, God, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy in the white guy in the white suit, the commercials I'm talking about, where it really helped to fix Sony's image problems with people and made them want to buy the console. And that having someone like that to help rebrand your image is incredibly important. Now, we are talking about a company who prioritizes Pachinko gambling machines more than game development, but it's neither here nor there. And we don't really know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who is the president of Konami America. I could recognize a few names like Julia Hedberg and Kevin T-Word, but these are faceless individuals. I couldn't point them out in a crowd, and they barely speak. And the only time we really ever hear from Julia is because people are flooding her inbox with stupid stuff all the time, and she gets tired of it. We aren't here. That's the only time we ever hear from Julia, and the only time we've heard from Kevin in the past several years was for the adjusted list. So the question is why? I do think it's a very simpler thing of they'd rather say nothing than cause player disgruntlement. I think that's a general thing. I think that if you look at because a great example is if you look at 2016 when we got our little blurb from Konami about why cards were hit on the ban list, and that's something I would like to see more of from Konami. But the one time they did it, we eviscerated it, myself included, because of the way they worded things. And why we don't get that is because Konami doesn't simply want that negative interaction, and they don't want to have to put the effort in. And that's one thing I have said about Konami in the past, is they are incredibly lazy. This is something I've been said many times, is that I feel like a great example of a card. I was actually talking with Snowy over on Discord about Kaiser Coliseum and why it's banned. Well, there's an interaction with the Destiny Hero card where you can lock your opponent out of playing the game. But Kaiser Coliseum is a card that was printed in the first generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! Its last text print was like Dark Revelation 4, and it was printed in Magician's Force. This is a over decade old card. You underestimate the fact that takes money and effort to actually reprint that card and think about how they're going to fix the text. That's something that would require time, would require effort, would require money. And that's a big reason why I think going back to communication, that's one of the main reasons I think that we don't get a lot of communications. It's because it would require effort and money. And as piggyback on the point earlier, I just don't think Konami has really come into the century very well. If you compare it to other things, for example, they have their own YouTube channel, but they preview things way too late. Now, I actually think this is something Konami can do better, is what they did with the Shadows of Valhalla leaks, is just place some new cards that are coming out on the side while you do a video. That's a cute way, a great way to get people hyped up for something without having to actually, go to the trouble of making a blog post. You make a video that you were already going to make anyways, you put set spoilers on the edge, and it really does get people hyped up for the set. I know I was excited to see a super rare Ash Blossom reprint because I had sold mine at Nationals, and this is a great thing I think Konami can do that requires basically no effort really on their part to do. They literally just need to take some cards to the next set that they're going to package up and print send out anyways, set them on the edge, and they're done. This is something that doesn't really require a lot of effort, and something I would really like to see them do more to showcase new cards coming out and set spoilers. And honestly, in my opinion, they should do this with every single core set bare minimum, because that really helps. Now, they do their blog posts, which I do think are really helpful to kind of show what new cards do and sell product. I do think that's a good thing that they do, but I feel like doing this simple thing with their videos, it's a really good thing as well. And the other thing I think that Konami can really do, that honestly I think would be the perfect thing to do, is just have something called a community manager. So if you guys aren't familiar, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's guys whose job is to talk to the community, tell them what's coming out, and then say, hey, we might get a ban list around this time. That's his job. So if you're unfamiliar with, there's a guy who does the community management for a lot of different games for EA called Benoit. He does the Battlefield, he does Need for Speed, he does the Battlefront Star Wars series. He's the community manager for all these different games. His job title essentially is to get news out to the community, tell them that patch notes are coming this day, it's gonna be live at this time. That's his job. And this is for games that have really had struggles, such as Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2. These are games that have had incredibly hard time for multiple different reasons. And yet a company like EA is willing to pay a guy to speak for them and tell them when things are coming out. And that's honestly what Konami really needs at the end of the day. Now, why don't they do that? Well, like I said earlier, I chalk it up basically three reasons. Is that it's money, it's the effort required, and it's typically the ignorance that they aren't really adjusted to the 21st to where we are now, as opposed to maybe 10 years ago when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out. So on the first part, obviously that's the money thing. When you have a community manager, you have to pay him. You have to pay people to look at what he's going to post before it gets posted, because you can't just have him posting stuff without it being edited, checked, and double and triple checked. You have to have other people, the upper management has to look at it too, so that's effort in this case, and the fact that all those people have to be paid, and the fact that they probably don't even realize that this is something that's you're needed in 2019. I mean, even Nintendo has the recently retired Reggie, who is who is president of the CEO of Nintendo America. That's honestly, not just a community manager. They need basically a president of Yugioh that shows their face more. Nothing against Jerome, but he's not exactly the most personable guy on camera. You need someone who can show your new cards, talk about them, and make them sound cool to and this not only helps with current players to drive up hype, it helps, you can do it in a way where it helps younger people and new people get into it. And you can do it, and you don't necessarily have to say the ban list is coming on this date. You can be a little cheesy about it, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Department of Konami page over on Facebook. It's basically like a parody page. Not saying you have to go that deep into it, but you can literally be super punny and cheesy about it, saying a hero will come off, like, let's say this is before the September list when Stratos came back, but Hero Lives 1-to-1. a hero lives or doesn't. Simple stuff like that. It's literally all you have to do to get people interested in the gaming again and get people interested in what's coming out. It doesn't require a lot of time, it doesn't require a lot of effort, but remains to be seen whether Konami would ever, do or change these things. Remains to be seen, but one can always hope, and we will wait and see. So anyway, guys, now comes the end of the video game. Let me know what you guys think about all these topics. What do you think Konami should do to, communicate better with the players? Would a more personable CEO, to present things to us be good? Let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. So Warstorm, signing out.